lately, so we thought we'd cover it off. It's time to chat a little bit of 1080.
Welcome, Clyde Graf. How are you?
Oh, great, thanks.
Hey, mate, you are probably in the know more than anybody as far as being anti-1080, and we had a couple of messages through saying you need to get this guy on the show. If you're going to talk to anybody that's anti-1080, you need to talk to Clyde Graf. You've been doing 1080 protesting, I guess, and documentaries and stuff for like 12 years now.
12 years, yeah. We, my brother and I first started back in 2006, and we put out a documentary called A Shadow of Doubt, played twice on Māori television, and since then we've done another 20-odd short docos or films on the issue.
And if people want to watch those, what's the Facebook page you base yourself off?
The Graf Boys Facebook page, or Clyde Graf Facebook page, has the video links and things. On YouTube we have all the videos as well, and that's the Graf Boys.
Okay. Now, people were pretty lazy in 2018, and even back in 2006 when you started. What was the one thing that made you get up off your ass and make you really passionate about wanting 1080 to be banned from being dropped in New Zealand?
Look, some folk back at Taupō contacted us in 2006. We were used to filming the outdoors, but then some people came to us and said, look, can you do a doco on 1080? Now, we didn't know much about it because in the Te Urewera National Park, where we did most of our work, none of that had been airily poisoned. So it was new to us, and so just for people asked, the timing was right, and so we got stuck into it. And it just became more disturbing since then.
So, in a nutshell, what is 1080?
It's a synthetic poison produced, mixed with cereal food, used, dropped from aircraft, used to attract species like deer, pigs, possums and rats. There's no antidote to it, and it's quite an ugly death for any animal that consumes it. So, for that perspective, it's not a good thing to be doing.
Why do we need 1080?
Well, we don't need 1080. Now, I say that with some authority. We've been filming New Zealand forests for the last probably 22 years, and the best forests, general forest health, are the ones that have never been airily poisoned. That's just what we observe. 1080, it seems to impact more native species than others, including kiwi.
Docs say it only takes out 2%, I think, of native birds or unwanted, of non-targeted wildlife.
Reduced there, yeah. Back when we started, I think their estimate was 22% to 25% of natives. If you look at the research that we have from scientists back in about 1995, and you look at what they discovered was probably around 80% of our native birds have all been found dead with 1080 poison residues in their carcasses. What it means is all of those species are at risk when it's dropped airily like it is. So DOC can say all they like. I mean, they say, oh, we're saving kokako. Well, I hate to tell you this, Doc, but there's a whole heap more species than kokako in a forest. And you need to look at the whole forest, the way it's impacting the whole forest, not just a couple of species.
You said you've done a lot of filming in areas where there hasn't been 1080 dropped. What's the possum and stoat problem like there?
Okay, well, take the Urewera where we've grown up, like our Moana Road, right through to Tuai from Mirapara. That area through there has never had cat control. It's never had stoat control. All it's ever had is possumers going in, private enterprise. You're not paid to do it. That's the only thing. No rat control. And yet, the ecosystem in there is balanced. You've got low rat numbers. You've got the odd stoat. They keep the rats in check. You've got the odd cat. They help to keep both the other predators at bay. But you've got lots of kiwi, and you've got lots of tui and bellbirds. So it's a healthy forest.
Do you think other forests are actually okay as well?
No, possums are in low numbers in most parts of New Zealand, very low in some places. Department of Conservation's claims, I believe, are just fear-mongering. They want to drop this poison. I don't really know what the reason is, whether it's using the budgets, whether it's they've gone too far down the track and they've got to keep saving face and hope something works, but it's certainly not working. And I don't believe that people are aware that when these aerial drops are undertaken, the baits are going all through the waterways at the same rate as the land areas.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to touch on that actually. We're going to play some tunes. Going to be back with Clyde Graf, and what happens when it goes in the water.
Great song to go in that chant. Here's a perfect circle. So long, and thanks for all the fish at the Rock with Thane Dunc.
ranges, reservoirs which supply the water for 60% of Auckland. They're doing targeted drops which they say 20 metres away from the waterway, and it's not actually going to be a problem.
Look, the way they do the hunuas is they give the dams themselves a buffer of 20 metres. But if you look at the 2015 aerial operation for the hunuas, I've got flight charts from Auckland Council. It shows all of the streams were poisoned at the same rate as the land.
What does that mean for us? What does it mean for animals if it goes in the waterways?
Okay, so when it goes into the water, it's uptaken by kura, freshwater crayfish for starters, and then they form the diet of other species. So even kiwi are known to eat kura. Now, kura can eat a whole bait. Now, a whole bait is enough to kill a child. So the whole thing, the whole practice of dropping it across the waterways and saying it's all okay, is rubbish. There is no research into low dose impacts on people, so they don't know how small a dose is harmful. And so there have been scientists saying, well, we think this could affect young children or babies or pregnant mums, but there's no research being done. And I know there's none because I've asked the Ministry of Health for their research, and they declare there isn't any. And it ends up into places that it shouldn't go, and that's like into the native wildlife that consume the baits in the water, even the tuna, the eel. They'll consume carcasses that end up in the waterways, and that poison goes down the food chain, up the food chain. And there's the animal welfare side of it. Now, guys, if you saw the way this stuff kills, it's grossly obscene, and the world would be outraged. Anyone that has a dog die of 1080 poison is no longer a supporter of 1080 poison.
Yeah.
So, ideally you'd like to see 1080 just completely banned, and then you're also saying, I guess, in a nutshell, from what you've said, is that you think predators, actually, there's not that much of a problem across the country with it, the stoats and wheels.
Look, there's certain areas where you might have, that you might want to do extra protection work on. The research shows that it works. This is when I'm talking about man on the ground, and target what you're after. But in a lot of cases in that country, the wildlife or the ecosystem just manages itself.
Yeah.
I continue to film. I've just been filming the farmers that lost 8 cows down at Tikawiti. Now, I said right from the start that's 1080 poisoning. I know 1080 poisoning when I see it immediately, just looking at the animals. But the vet was trying to call it botulism. Now, do you remember the last time there was a botulism case in New Zealand? It was the Coocherman family from Pataru. They were poisoned by 1080 in a wild pig. And if you look at the 3 documentaries we did on that, you'll just see that's as plain and simple a cover-up. No question about it. And it's a disgrace. That was a disgrace. They should have taken that case and they should have researched it, those poor people who were in hospital for 3 weeks with comas, having convulsions and being strapped to the bed. Fascinating case, that one. Fascinating.
Yeah, holy hell. Clyde, before we wrap this up, what do you think is the next step as far as moving forward? Obviously, there needs to be some research that everyone can agree on.
Well, that's another story, isn't it? I mean, research funded by the industries is just may as well be biffed down the toilet. Most of it is junk or severely biased.
Well, someone's making money here, eh? Because it continues.
Well, that's what it reeks of, right?
Cover up.
Hundreds of millions of dollars involved in the poisoning industry across New Zealand. There's a strong resistance by the government, remembering that they own the factory that imports the poison. They're the ones that import and manufacture it, and also are pushing for the 2050 predator free. And I promise you that means lots more poison in your water, a lot more poison across the New Zealand wildlife.
Imagine for a second that the Department of Conservation has been privatised, and the main supporter is the 1080 producers.
Yeah, that's a very good point you raised there, because if you actually look at Department of Conservation, they're buddies and sign contracts with all sorts of private enterprise. I think they're out of control. I think the Department of Conservation needs to be dissolved. There needs to be a new organisation or agency set up, not involved with pest control, but focuses on New Zealand wildlife and New Zealand, the future of New Zealand and being clean and green.
Just another thing that's tarnishing our so-called clean and green New Zealand image that we have, right?
Yeah, and look, it's not even half of it's not out. No one knows this stuff.
What we might do, because we're going to have to wrap it up, Clyde, but what we might do is get people to text 1080 if they want some more information and want to watch some of the documentary that you've chucked together.
Great.
And we'll ping them back a link to your YouTube channel and your Facebook page as well.
Yeah, Great, good on you. Appreciate you fellows actually, it's very rare in New Zealand to have media actually look at this. This is probably the most open I've had a conversation.
Hey, no worries, mate. Well, we thought it was important that we get both sides of the coin on the radio, and it's been bloody interesting.
Yeah, good on you.
Coming up on Thane Dunc.
Just quickly, if you'd like a link to his stuff or you'd like a link to Doc's stuff, we've got it all if you just text 1080 to 3520. Educate yourself and then make an informed decision. That's what it's been about, getting both sides of the argument on the radio.